Brought to you by Friends Council and Agnes. Trustee U, your online governance program for trustees.
Looking into the future, really the big issue that schools are going to keep hitting again and again are the legal issues triggered by technology. And we've seen everything from soup to nuts on this front, so whether it's students inappropriately using technology, a lot of schools have wrestled with those issues, whether it's sexting or using school video cameras in unusual and unforeseen places, staff members doing the same occasionally, but also things like, when you use the new iAuthor application from Apple and they're putting together electronic course packs, which are fabulous. Teachers can put articles in them, they can put videos in them, they can put just about anything in them. Who owns that property? Is that still fair use? Those kinds of questions are just something schools are just going to have to keep in front of. And then a whole new area that's opening up is, access for disabled students and teachers and parents through technology. It's just something that the federal government is starting to wrestle with. And we're going to see a lot more that way. So when schools are building their online courses or their distance learning or their home access points, to make sure that they are accessible, or that at least the vendor is thinking about accessibility issues, because there's a real question about whether that's considered brick and mortar for accessibility or whether there's a totally separate online kind of access point. So these kinds of issues schools are going to be really wrestling with, and the federal government will just keep moving forward with it. And unfortunately, the law and the practical uses of technology don't always stay neck and neck, and so schools are just going to have to keep thinking this through as technology becomes more prevalent in our schools. For schools that are really starting to look at this and they want to be proactive with legal issues and technology, the thing to make sure that the school administration and the school leadership, is generally aware of how technology is being used. I mean, sometimes that's sort of the biggest issue to wrestle with, because different teachers are doing different things. But to know what's happening in the school and to try to preempt some of these questions, to know it before it becomes an issue, to be clear about intellectual property. That's become a very big issue. So when teachers leave, can they take their intellectual property with them? Is the school clear about that? In most cases, it does belong to the school because it's created during employment, but schools want to be clear about that in their policies, and also their acceptable use policies. Kind of what sort of community norms are we looking for in technology, and sort of start creating, schools that create their own baseline have a lot less confusion in terms of saying, these are the digital citizenry rules that we expect in our schools, both from the adults and from the kids. Here are things that are acceptable, here are things that are not acceptable, and also being aware of the law at the same time. This is going to require a proactive HR business office function to see how social media is playing into employment issues, how social media is playing into disciplinary issues with students. But just always making sure that when technology is thought through, that the ramifications, the potential things that could go wrong, not to overregulate it, but to be aware, and to be aware of the potential consequences. So, it requires both the school leadership, the administrative leadership, and the board, to know what's happening and to really manage that risk. And you risk management, you can mitigate it, you can embrace it, you can cut it off entirely, but to be aware of what the risks are and to really consciously work through that.